Hello again guys, welcome to PokeClone tutorial. This time what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that when you come into the battle, we're going to have your monster in the friendly side and we're going to have a randomly generated monster on the enemy side as well. And then from there on we can edit the users, we can edit the enemies, we can edit everything, and this will be the main framework on the entering and the exiting of battles. So, in order to figure out what these need to be, we first of all need to make sure that we have something there. So, if I'm going to open up my battle proxy, and under begin play, we want to grab some information. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get our game instance, because this will hold everything including our party, and we want to cast that to PokeClone instance, and we want to grab that as a reference because we will be using that quite a lot. I'm then going to just drop this all down to a macro, just to call it get references. And then later on we can add to this. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to get what is first in our party. So we need to get to the PokeClone instance. We want to get our monster storage. We want to get our party, which in itself is an array. And then we want to get the first entry in that. This should be a monster. So the first thing, what we're going to need to do is we're going to have to grab the species. We're going to get data table row, which will be the monster species, and when it's found, we want to grab the mesh, and we want to set the friendly mesh to that. Well, and save. So, if we remove the friendly mesh back to be nothing, and we go back to the third person template map, not that one, give ourselves a sphere, run around for a little bit, and you see now we've got a sphere. Ignore the size. Obviously, with your game, you'll be making sure the meshes are the right size. So that is how we can very quickly choose our monster, our Pokemon, whatever you want to call it. And after that, we can add a sequence. We're going to need to do exactly the same thing, but with a random monster. So for that one, we can copy all of this, and we want to get data table row names of the monster species, random array item, and we can have that change to a random one. So we have cube, and instead of a cube, it's just double check that's working by removing that from there. And we can also have it print out. We change that to enemy mesh. That should work. Okay, there you go. We will change this very shortly because we will be making sure that the encounter is a level and it has to create the monster rather than just giving it 8 species. So what we'll do first is we'll just tidy up these scripts. So this get party member we can actually change into a function. So in our function library, so in our PokeClone instance, we can add a new function to get party member, and you want an ID of an integer. Bearing in mind 0 is 1 is the first slot, etc., etc. And we can grab all of this and we want to get ID of the party member, but from the party, and add a return node. Change that to a pure so we don't need to have it executed. Compile and save, and in the battle proxy now we can go get party member in slot or in ID 0. That should do the same thing. To get our encounter, we're going to need to create another struct for encounters. So let's do that. So if we go to our structs tab and go to blueprints and new structs. We call this one encounter struct. We're going to have a generate stats boolean. Then we're going to have a species, a minimum level, a maximum level, and then non-gen monster info. So we go for generate, we'll change that to just generate. So yes or no, species will be in name, min level will be an integer, max level will be an integer, and this will be a monster info. And off of that, we actually want to create a data table. So we go to back to miscellaneous and data table. It's going to ask us where we want to do it. So we're going to add encounter. to make all of this a bit bigger. And we're going to add row name. We'll call this cube 1. You will want to generate. It will be a cube, max level with 2 and min level with 2, max level with 5. Then we're going to have a sphere 1. Of 1 and 3. And if I open up the monster species, sphere, cube and cylinder. Cylinder 1. Of 3 and 9. So now we need a way of choosing that. So in our spawn area, I'm going to open up that blueprint. And when it's activated, we're going to need to set the encounter info. So we're going to add possible encounters. And we're going to have that as a name, but we're going to have it as a map of floats. So now we can have a whole list of possible encounters with a rarity as well. So you can have your 1%, you can have your 10%, you can have your 20%. So what we'll do is we'll add cube 1 of a 33%, or we'll add sphere 1 as a 0.33%, and a cylinder 1. Now we're going to need to get so we need to roll for this, which is similar to how we done for the legendary loot in the looter tutorial I did. But I'll quickly make a function here, and I'll briefly show it afterwards. But if you need a more detailed tutorial on that, I'd recommend watching the looter tutorials. So just bear with me and I shall be back. Okay, and I'm back. So this is the random rolling function. So just a very quick overview. It's going to add up all the probabilities. Then I'll get a random number between 0 and the total probability. Check if it's matched into one of those. If not, then adjust the number. If it does, then that's the one that's chosen. So I've added a print string at the bottom so you can see. So if I just run around here, and you should see with a couple of options, we have sphere 1, cube 1, sphere 1, and cube 1, and obviously there is a chance of getting cylinder as well, but that is how we've chosen an encounter. Lovely. I think just one last thing before we do go, which I've found whilst I was changing things, is in your spawn area you want to make sure your possible encounters is set to instance editable, so that if you have more than one spawn area you can change what can be spawned. Okay guys, well thank you very much for watching. Next time we're going to be adding stats to the enemy that we are actually generating, and then we'll start moving towards the actual battle play itself. So again, thank you very much everyone, and I shall see you next time. Goodbye.